Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Sam Dever Podcast, episode 42. In this episode, I speak with actor Vinn Sander. Vinn is someone I met through the Playhouse West community here in Los Angeles, and I've had the pleasure of working with him on a film. I've been with him in class, and he's just a really cool guy, really inspirational, really hard worker. Vinn and I would always have great conversations. Him and I definitely share a lot in common with the health and nutrition passion of things. And I was really excited for him to come on the podcast because we hadn't talked in a while, and this was just a great chance to catch up. The book of the episode, I can't remember if I've made this book of the episode or not, but I mentioned it, so we're going to make it. It's Ram Dass, Journey of Awakening, a Meditator's Guidebook. Vinn and I end up talking about meditation and some of the inspirations I know for me behind it. And this is definitely a book. Everyone knows Ram Dass for his famous book, Be Here Now. But this is a really good book, especially for anyone just getting into spirituality or meditation and don't really know where to start. He really gives a lot of useful information and breaks it down very simply on how to get started. And again, that is Journey of Awakening, a Meditator's Guidebook. And that is by Ram Dass. With that all being said, here's my conversation with Vinn. Vinn Sander, welcome to the Sam Dever Podcast.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. Excited to be here.
Man, like we were talking in the pre-show room. Yeah, I think it was in Wolf's class at Playhouse West was the last time like I physically saw you in person.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people I saw pre-pandemic, and now it's like it was a blur, the whole pandemic era. And now it's like, wow, like I feel like it hasn't been that long, but it has. You know, it's kind of a weird little situation there.
It's really weird. I was actually talking to someone else about that. It's like 2020, 2021, like you don't even like know what happened.
It's a blur. right, completely. It's crazy. Like, yeah, I can't even pinpoint a lot of the events. I feel like they just happened over the course of 2 years versus like, oh, I know exactly what I did in 2021 or 2020. You know, it's just like all a mesh of COVID era.
So how was it for you? How was that era for you?
It was a roller coaster ride. That's a good way to put it. It's got its ups and downs. Went through a lot of changes, good and bad. A lot of personal changes, career changes, transitions. It was definitely a huge, I guess, transition period for a lot of people, including myself. So that's a good way to sum up that whole crazy time. I feel like it's still kind of going too, you know?
Yeah, I know. We're still, someone on the podcast earlier, a few episodes back said, shout out to Anude. He said that it's just created this layer of anxiety.
Oh, yeah.
Like we all have in it. Even now, even as things are like opening up again, it's still there.
Yeah. And you can feel it day to day. So that's a great way to put that for sure.
Yeah. Well, it seems acting wise, man, like you've done a lot, at least according to the Gram and
it's all
YouTube
the Gram.
I've seen.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. Yeah. It's, I've been trying to put myself out there as much as possible, you know, if it's not working for somebody else, doing my own stuff. So that's been the main focus right now. Just give it 110% of my focus and see where it goes.
I just saw that short film that you and Nick did.
Yeah, what'd you think?
Dude, that was amazing. Like what I loved most about it, there's a lot of things I loved about it, but the number one thing I pulled from that, well, you two both did a really good job in it. But I loved how you guys captured a moment.
Yeah.
Because it's about a little under 3 minutes.
It was a short film for sure. Yeah.
But you guys captured that perfect peak moment where it has me wondering, well, what happened? How did they get here?
Right.
But it's like what you guys both brought to it. Like I don't know. It was like it really took you there fast as the viewer.
Yeah. And I think
did a really good job. I thought you two both did a really good job, and the crew that worked with you to put that together. I mean, it really got to the point of the moment.
Yeah.
Like, yes, you could have made a feature film leading up to that, but you got right to the good part.
Yeah. And that was kind of the intention of these short films, is just going straight to the meat of it, going straight to the main conflict or the main point of the entire film. And like you were saying, we could have taken the time to expand it, you know, get all this B-roll, et cetera, to kind of build up to this peak moment. But I was thinking, the I guess my goal with my YouTube is to showcase my versatility, my ability to put myself into different characters' shoes, and maybe roles that casting directors don't necessarily see me as, but I know I can do. So let me show you I could do it, kind of thing. So it's that was how this kind of started up again. That was been the goal. So we've been inviting almost like short scenes, you could call it. It's like a short dramatic or whatever. I'll kind of pick a genre sometimes and just stick to that and write a scene that's tailored just to that. And then we just kind of go for it and see what happens.
So you're really creating your own roles, really.
Yeah. That's this industry, man. I'm sure it's there's no rule book. There's no one way to break into Hollywood. There's no criteria. You just kind of have to what works for somebody may not work for you. So you kind of I've been, I guess, over the past few, or since I've been in California, just kind of gathering as much intel as I can from different people who've been in and out of the industry, and just trying to figure out, okay, what is my best approach? What is an approach that I can do? And of course there's the traditional route, do auditions and hope for the best, and hopefully one day you'll get that call. But in the meantime, of course that's all there. I'm still doing that part, but I want to do more. I want to be able to create my own stuff and show, like I was saying before, like showcase my versatility and the roles that I can play that maybe people don't see me as just based on my looks. How Hollywood tends to sometimes put you in a box just based on how you look and who you are, your name, whatnot. So this is a way that I figured out to kind of break that mold.
And one thing, no, that's awesome. And I totally agree. And one thing, I'm basically going off the gram here, but yeah. I really have to give you credit for, I'm like, man, Vinn really brands himself. Like, you really have branded yourself and you're consistent with it. It's a lot of work to keep up with that in social media. Yeah. And you really seem to have done the work and have a really good business plan with what you're doing here, building up your brand and who you are as an actor and whatnot.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, it takes a lot of work. I know it.
It is, man. Sometimes the way I explain social media to people is like, it's almost like another full-time job. You kind of have to be on top of it, be consistent, like you said, regularly remind people that you exist, and kind of, because especially nowadays with so many different outlets, streaming services, it can easily get lost. You can easily get lost with everything out there. So I do my best to try to at least showcase, stuff that I'm working on, projects I'm working on, kind of build my brand, like you were saying. So it's been a long time coming. I mean, I started seriously about, posting on Gram, like maybe 3 or 4 years ago. Before that, I was just kind of trying to figure out how to even, build an audience and how to even work social media. And it was just, now with the whole TikTok era, it's like to kind of figure out that aspect of it. So it's like a constant evolving project, you could say.
It's funny. I think you did a TikTok with Nick. With the snapping fingers.
Yeah.
I'll let people go find that.
Yeah, that was when me and Nick were trying to figure out TikTok like a minute ago, probably before COVID, I think. But yeah, we've done some funny, some may call stupid things just to kind of figure out the algorithm and the system.
It's funny. It's so crazy because now I'm remembering a conversation you had. Shout out to Jamie Shinko on her movie Revenge. You and I were in.
Yep.
I remember having and we talked a lot about fitness and nutrition, which I do want to get to later in the podcast.
Definitely, yeah.
Because I definitely want to talk to you about that. But you and I were talking about social media, and I remember you and I were taking like behind the scenes photos. Right. And I remember having the conversation with you of like, behind the scene photos. It seems stupid. It seems like a waste of time, but I think sometimes people like behind the scene photos and the actual, it's weird. It's really weird. Social media is really weird, but it's almost like you use your Instagram, and I go in waves. Like sometimes I'm really active for like 2 months straight, and then I'll get
Right.
off it for 2 months. But that's why I give you props, because you seem to be pretty steady with it all. But people, I think, just like to see people doing things. And things like
Yeah.
a
And
simple behind the scenes photo, or like doing a selfie with the crew you worked with that day. Those always seem to do some of the best for some reason.
right. And another good way of looking at social media is almost, because there's always the people who are trying to do it for, the likes, the views, etc., the whole trying to beat the algorithm, etc. But there's another way of looking at it is just documenting your process.
Mm.
That helps me. It's almost like I'm documenting my journey through this career and just doing it for myself, posting it. All right, this is what I've got going on today, etc. Stories, leverage all the different avenues you can post it. But I think documenting is a good way of seeing social media versus posting. So you're documenting your journey. You're kind of because nowadays, I mean, you can take pictures. You can take, before there's like albums and stuff back in the day, but now I feel like social media is a good way to just document your journey, and it's something people love seeing. People love seeing behind the scenes stuff more than sometimes the actual product, which is crazy. But I think people like seeing real people, like what we do on a regular basis. I mean, of course, everyone knows, we're actors. Obviously, that's on all of our media pages, but people want to see what you're like behind the scenes, like what kind of a person you are, get a sense of your personality. And I think that's what attracts people to your page, if that, it's who you are as a person.
Yeah, you're right, man. Like people like the real. They like
They
real
do.
things. They like to be able to relate to you and see not the maybe the done up stuff's cool, but they like seeing what led up to the done up stuff.
Right, right. And it's easy to get, worried in all the baggage, I guess, of posting and filters, etc. Sometimes I post randomly where it's just like behind the scenes of pictures we just took on the day on a phone, didn't even do anything, just kind of posted it. It's like, oh, it was cool. It was a cool moment at that time, even though the movie was intense, the behind the scenes shows that we had fun doing it, kind of thing. And I feel like if I was a viewer and I was watching my favorite celebrity, it'd be cool to see that stuff. That's kind of how I'm seeing it. It'd be like, ooh, oh, so that scene was crazy on film, but wow, you guys had like a good time doing it. You guys are laughing over here, you got the crew, and it's cool to see, I feel like.
Yeah, it reminds me of. I think is it your last post you did? I think it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
The
no, that's
recent one.
you nailed it on your head. Yeah, brings a human element to the whole thing.
Exactly. That's a good way of looking at it. A
Well, now
human
you've
element.
motivated me to start posting more stuff.
I
'Cause
think you should.
I've
I think
been slacking. I have not been posting that much stuff, but it comes in waves. The more projects you do, the more you get into. And
totally. And social
okay,
media is also like a lot of people use it like a highlight reel, right? Like your best moments only go on there. So it's almost can be deceiving at times. Of course, as actors, we don't have great moments all the time. Or speaking for myself, I don't. My valleys can be very, very low. My highs can be high, but it's easy to not document the lows. And I feel like that's a part that I'm trying to get better at, kind of, just
Mm,
still showcase that I am human. I'm not this super great, untouchable person who has nothing ever go wrong in his life. It's far from the truth. But um, I think it brings more realness to your personality, to your page, more authenticity. If you do post those lows sometimes, people have to know that people can relate to that, because it's a human element, like you were talking about. It's the humanness that all of us have in common, is just that we all go through the ups and downs, and let's share how we made it through through those valleys, and maybe it can help somebody else out. Maybe what I said here might help somebody later down the line who's going through the same issue and just needed that one little word of encouragement. You never know.
that's dope, man. I dig that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, shoot. Now I'm pumped. I'm pumped to be back on the gram. Like, yeah, because it's Keola Rains who's on the podcast. She talked about how she called it show the mess, because she's always like, you're always going to the corner. It's a metaphor, but you're going to the corner of the room where there's no mess and everything looks
Yeah.
perfect. But
Yeah.
behind the camera, it's chaotic. There's clothes everywhere, and there's this and there's that.
Oh yeah.
Like show the mess. Like show people like, hey, I'm human. Like I'm going through all of this too. It's
Right.
okay. Because chances are a bunch of other people are going through the same exact thing you're going through.
Exactly. Exactly. It's yeah, it's definitely the more open you are, I feel like the more authentic you will be, and the more attractive people will be to you based on your authenticity and who you are as a person. Which, at the end of the day, I mean, no matter what career we're in, that's what matters, right? It's the human element. Um, and you can, I feel like it's applicable to anyone in any career, no matter if you have a normal 9 to 5 job or you're an actor or a musician, whatever. Anyone can document their journey, and it's cool. I mean, I'm sure like 10 years from now, if you look back at your previous posts, you'll see how much you've grown, even though in the moment you may feel like, man, like I'm not going anywhere. I'm not, nothing's happening. But if you look back a year from now, you've grown way more than you might think. So it's a cool way to document your journey.
Absolutely. And I want to talk more about your acting projects and whatnot. But before, I was wondering, this is really for my own education as well. I was wondering if you could tell me a little bit about your story leading up to LA.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because I really don't know much about you leading up to LA. Like I met
For
you in
sure.
LA, obviously, but
Yeah.
tell me, tell me how did Vinn go from to LA and want the journey of an actor? How did that all happen?
Well, let me take you back in time to India.
Okay.
So I was born in India. I was born in southern part of India called Kerala. It's the southernmost state in India. From there, when I was born, about I don't remember exactly when, probably like a year later, my family moved to the capital of this country called New Delhi. We stayed there till I was about 5 or 6. And ever since I was young, I loved watching this one channel. They only had one channel that was English when I was growing up in India. It was called Star Channel. And they would show reruns of Hollywood movies. I'm pretty sure those movies were way past released here, but they were like reruns of old Hollywood movies. And I loved watching that. I loved watching it. I always wanted to be like that, like the people on screen. Like I was so mesmerized by their charisma and the acting and even the physique. Like I loved watching the Rambo movies, the Rocky movies. Sylvester Stallone honestly was my inspiration to work out and look like the way I do, I guess. His physique in those movies, I was like, ooh, I want to look like that, and that just stuck. Even though I couldn't really start pursuing or weightlifting and working out and fitness and all that much later in life, but that's when I caught it initially. Same with the acting bug, but similarly, I couldn't pursue that for a long time. But going back to the India, so I was New Delhi till about 5 or 6. After that, my dad was in New York for a little bit without us for like 6 months during the whole 9/11 time, and that was a scary time for my family just because my dad was in New York at the time and we didn't know what was going on and all that. Luckily, he was okay, and he ended up getting a job. He was initially supposed to go back to New York, ended up getting a job in Colorado instead. So then he brought my family, came back to India, brought us to Colorado. So I grew up for most of my life in Colorado. Um, Even there, for a lot of my life, I feel like my school, like my elementary through high school, I was a whole different person in a way. I was very shy. I was so even though I didn't want to be, I felt like I was in this shell that I couldn't break out of. Um, it was an interesting time in my life, and after that, I went to college in Boulder, Colorado, which is like about an hour and a half away from where my family was, Fort Collins, Colorado. I went to college there. I didn't study acting. I just studied chemical. I actually initially was going into medical school. That was my thought process. Acting wasn't even in the radar because I'd never thought that was so far of a reach for me. I'm like, no way. Like, why would me actor? What are you talking about? So I went to school. Actually, I majored in engineering, chemical and biological engineering. I studied that. and did my prerequisites for medical school because I thought that was going to be my path. And then I got to the point where I was doing the MCATs. I did the MCATs. I got to the application stage where you have to apply to medical schools now. And I was hesitant about it. I didn't know why. And I still remember this quote from, I don't remember who, but it stuck with me. He told me that if you're not 110% set on this career, don't do it because it will suck the life out of you. So, because it is, as a doctor, you have to be very, very passionate about what you do because it is a huge commitment. And that's why I have so much respect for, doctors and my fellow friends who are going through the whole process. And that quote itself, I was like, I can't, like, I'm not that much into it. Like I wanted to do more with my life. And so at that point, my backup was engineering. That was my backup degree. So I said, I straight path, switched to flip the 180, stuck with my engineering degree. And then I was started thinking more and more about acting and moving to LA. And I really wanted to do that, but I didn't know how. Then I was hoping I would somehow get a job out here. And maybe that could be, at least I'll be in the same area. I can somehow work my way in, whatever. So luckily, about a week before graduation, literally a week before graduation, I get this job offer for an engineering job. And it was based, I didn't know where it was based. The office was based in Florida. So I thought the job was going to be in Florida. At the time, I was so desperate. I was like, all right, I'll just take it. I'll just take any job. I just need to, pay off my loans. I have so many bills. Took it. And my employers, the very first question they asked in the interview was, they asked me if I was a model and completely threw me off. I guess. And the reason they asked me was that because I was doing some fitness competitions at the time in Colorado. And they really did their research and went through your social media pages, etc. And that's the first thing they opened with. And it was just completely broke the ice. They're awesome. They're some of the best employers I've ever had. And I still credit them for a lot of my early success just because they were so understanding of my goals. They knew I was going to be, my goal was to be an actor. And so the position they gave me was in Thousand Oaks, California. And I was just, all I saw was California, and I just was ecstatic. I was like, oh, I'm going to be in California. That's great. I didn't know what Thousand Oaks was. I didn't know where LA was. I thought they were all in one place. California, yes, that's good. I came out here, didn't know a single soul, didn't know anybody, no family out here, nobody. I just had this job. And then slowly I tried to figure out, I remember telling these stories for years. I would drive down to LA for like a 5-minute audition. It was an hour drive from Thousand Oaks to LA, especially during the week and during rush hour and stuff. Do a 5-minute audition, rush back an hour, take like a 2-hour lunch. And it was, I did that for so long, but they let me do it. They're like, as long as you can make it back on time, or as long as you work overtime to make up for those hours, you could do it. And I was so grateful they allowed me to do that for so long. Of course, it didn't happen all the time. I would have to give up some auditions if the work always was priority one. So I juggled having this and pursuing acting and trying to figure out how to even get into acting and how to get into Hollywood and how to just the whole workaround. And I feel like it's a process you continually keep learning. It's because it's constantly evolving. And on top of that, I was trying to keep up my physique, and so it was like I was having 3 full-time jobs essentially, and no social life. But no, it was definitely a crazy time. But yeah, and that's how brought me here. Now I'm here, man. Still here, I guess. Still in California. So I guess I'm doing something right.
Dude, first of all, that's an amazing story. Like I didn't
Thank you.
know most of that. I don't know where to begin. There's so many things I want to pick out of that.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people do. I don't think I've
I had no
shared that.
idea. I think I had maybe seen like, yeah, India was your origins, but I had
Mhm.
no idea about Colorado. I had no idea.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, do you go back to India at all? Have you gone back since you left?
I've been back once since I've been out in California, but not often. We don't go back often. My all my extended family is in India, so but I my immediate family is here, so that's who I really consider my family. So we don't go back often because it's a huge endeavor. You gotta take 2 weeks off, and it's
It's like what,
expensive.
like a 28-hour flight or something like that, or it's
Yeah,
something.
it's like almost it's straight across the world, so it's like a good 18 to 20 hour flight with layovers. So probably about a 24-hour flight.
Yeah, that is a place I wouldn't mind seeing one day, though. Like,
Definitely. I mean, I feel like if you've never been, it's definitely worth checking out. It's a different culture. I mean, sure. If you ever visited Asia, have you ever visited Asia in general?
no, never been.
I feel like it's definitely worth checking out at least sometime in your life. Just the cultural difference versus the
Mm.
Western Hemisphere versus Asia. And I've traveled to Thailand, and just seeing like in Beijing, and just seeing the different cultural differences. It's really really cool. It kind of humbles you for sure.
If you don't mind me asking, was English your primary language, or did you not speak English when you were young, like growing up in India?
When I believe my parents put me in English in like early school, so I had like a basis of English, but definitely didn't have the accent or anything. So I knew words here and there. But when I was in India, the primary language was Hindi, or that's the national language of India.
Hmm.
And then English I knew because they would have English classes. And when I moved here and during elementary is when I kind of picked up the accent, I guess, and over time.
And I like what you said about, when you're thinking of going to medical school. And I agree with you completely. I mean, it takes a special person to
It
become
does.
a medical provider. Dealing with so many in my line of work that I do too, it takes a special person to do it. And I love what you said. Like, if you're not 110%, don't do it. And I think that applies to so many things.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's really true. It kind of reminds me of there's a quote by Mark Manson, I believe. He said, "If it's not F yes,
Yeah.
it's
Right.
F no."
Right.
Like,
Right.
if you're
That's a
not
great
totally
way.
in something, get out. Like,
Yeah.
why are you gonna spend your
And
time
why
doing it?
waste your time and other people's time, just and I think that takes some self knowledge and self learning to understand what you really want in life and what you're really passionate about versus something that you think you should do because other people are doing it, or because of whatever family pressure, just financial pressure, etc. But it's definitely not easy. I would have not been able to just say I'm going to go straight to acting, from college. It would have life gets in the way for sure, for
Yeah, and
sure.
like
And navigate that.
I love how just the universe or whatever just brought you here. Like, you didn't even think you'd be
Yeah,
coming out here, and then it's like, guess what? You're getting sent there.
right, right, and that was just wild in its own way. And the crazy part was, I don't think I've ever told this story actually. A year, maybe 2 years ago, in college, I did a road trip with my roommates, and we drove all the way from Colorado out to California here, and we actually stayed in Thousand Oaks. I had no idea what Thousand Oaks was at the time. Stayed in Thousand Oaks in Newberry Park, which is where I would stay years later. I stayed there for almost 2 years.
Wow.
Crazy. And looking back, I was like, whoa, it was almost like it was preset in a way. I was familiar with Newberry Park because I'd been there a couple of years ago. Never thought I'd end up there again. But wow, yeah, weird how things work out sometimes, right?
Yeah, no, no, exactly right. I've had similar experiences in different ways, whether it was with people or a place I had been, and then like years
Right.
later, like, wait a minute, deja
Yeah,
vu.
exactly, exactly. It's crazy, man. It's cool. It's almost like you gotta just trust. At least I do. I trust that everything happens for a reason, and
Yeah.
I've started to believe that more and more now than I used to before.
Mm.
Just because of the way things are going on, and life happens, and you go through your ups and downs, and kind of just have to trust that things happen for the best.
I love
You know?
that. I agree. And also too, you've like many other people we know, like everyone thinks that, oh, you just go to LA and you start acting and you become an actor.
Right.
It's like, nope. Like I relate to you so much in terms of like juggling both, especially pre-pandemic, like
Oh
working
yeah.
your job and then doing acting school full time at night and trying to do projects in between. I mean, it's really beyond full time thing
Oh yeah.
that you
It's
have to
crazy.
do and try to balance it. And it's really, really hard. But that's why I'm happy to see, getting to the present moment here. I mean, you've really been active, it seems, in a lot of projects. And I can't remember when the first time you either posted on Instagram or I don't know where I saw it first, but I believe it's the Darman films
Yeah.
that
I've
you're
been
in a
doing
lot
that.
of.
Yeah.
Dude, you do a really good job in those, man.
Thank you. I
You
appreciate
do a
that.
really
Thank you.
good job in that. I remember seeing them like, dang, Vin, like it's like
I appreciate that.
you
Coming from somebody who's worked with me, like I really appreciate
yeah,
it. It
no,
means
I
a lot.
really like I
Yeah.
watched it, dude. You're doing a really good job, man, and it seems like that's been a really good thing for you. And just seeing you do all these other projects, and then you and Nick doing projects, you're really
Yeah.
doing it, man. So I salute you.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that. And I feel like it's like I said before, you have to be 110% into it. Otherwise, I wouldn't have the motivation if I wasn't fully into it to do these projects and to do my normal day job and then go to class after and lose sleep and the whole cycle restarts the next day. And you really have to be in it. And that goes to show that's the same for any profession, no matter what it is.
And I have to now tie into transition to the whole fitness realm. You did a video. I can't remember how long ago. It was like what I eat in a day or something like that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, when you post, I'm like, oh, I'm definitely watching this because Vinn and I on the set of the movie we were working on, we talked about meal prepping and eating every 2 to 3 hours and
Yeah.
metabolism and this, that, and the other. And it seems though, since you do take health and fitness so seriously, that's probably what really allows you to be able to do these things at the speed you're doing it. And the volume is
Wow.
taking care of your body.
That's good. I'd never
You know
thought
what
of
I
it like
mean?
that, but that's true. I mean, the way I see it is you have one body, right? It's your temple. It's you only get one. So you might as well take care of it, because if you don't have a body, if you don't have good health, you can't do everything else that you want to do. So you have to make time to take care of yourself first before you are even able to pursue anything else you want. So definitely that's been a fitness has been a part of my life for as long as I can remember. I remember how it started. It started when I was very young, and I was actually a very sick kid growing up in India. I had a lot of health issues. I was in and out of the hospital quite often. And then my dad put me into martial arts. He put me in, I think it was karate at the time in India. Even then, I would come home and then like with bloody noses and shit, and it was just like not a good deal. So I quit that, and I was like, I can't do anything. And then we ended up moving to the States here. My dad tried again. He put me into Taekwondo this time. And it really started working. I got slowly healthier. And from Taekwondo, I learned the discipline and the consistency that I was able to transition into weightlifting and fitness and kind of turn that into a lifestyle. I remember in high school, when all my friends would go partying, I would say, I have to go to the gym first, guys, and then I'll meet you guys later. And everyone just looked at me like I was crazy, because it was not something that was normal. And I kind of felt weird in a way. Like I was like, am I doing the right thing? Like, am I just not, like, is this something I'm a weird dude, like that I like to work out? But I think it was just so ingrained in me at the time, based on like the issues that I had in the past, that I really saw it as I have to do it, and then I can do whatever I want. Not that, oh, I can do it if I want. Not an option. I don't give myself an option, because I feel like a lot of people, if you give yourself an option, you're not going to do it. You're going to choose the easiest route. But if you consider it as, okay, you have your day job, I have my workout, there's no option, I have to do both, then you will do it. You'll make time for it. You will do everything that requires, the prerequisites, like the diet and everything else you need to do scheduling wise to make sure you have enough time allocated to get that in your routine. So it's definitely possible. It's tough, but it's definitely possible.
Yeah, I agree with you 110% about you have to treat it like you're going to a class or a job, or it's there's no missing. You
Mm-hmm.
have to go. And, it sounds pretty similar. You started lifting in high school?
Yeah, yeah.
See, that's when I started. I was fortunate enough to have some really good people teach me the ways of the weight room. And I played basketball and everything and was doing it for that. But as soon as when basketball was done, I just kept doing it. And
Yeah,
it's arguably, I would say, besides like reading and maybe some other things, probably the most valuable thing I've picked up along the way in terms of lifestyle habit.
definitely.
Because there's nothing, and you know this, there's nothing like a good weight workout. At
Right.
least in my opinion, especially going through an injury where I couldn't like lift for a long time. As soon as I was
Exactly.
able to
Yeah.
come back, oh my gosh, it just the feeling like
And
Arnold
yeah,
talking about the pump, like it's like
right. Right, exactly. And it's not just the physical aspect of working out. It's the consequences after, the repercussions
yes,
of it after. Like you feel confident. You feel confident enough to, maybe you weren't confident enough one day to, pursue this thing. Maybe after work, you're like, all right, I can do it. I can do this. I can do anything I want. Like, it gives you that self confidence. It builds that, almost like as you're building your body, your mind. It's like you're training a lot more than you think, just by consistently making health a focus in your daily routine.
yeah, you're right. The aesthetic part of it, that's just like one of the byproducts of it. Like it's
Yeah, it's just a
really there's
bonus. Exactly.
yeah, it's just a bonus. And again, uh for me at least. So I just wanted to share this with you. I've said this on some other podcasts. So
Yeah.
before I got hurt, I was lifting, and plus it was the pandemic at the time, and there was a gym that was available I was going to, and I was lifting like 5-6 times a week.
Wow.
And
Nice.
because there was nothing else to do, and B, I just love lifting weights, and I got decent results, and I was good and everything. But then I got hurt. So when I get out of getting hurt, and I'm back to the weight room, I started lifting 3 times a week.
Mm-hmm.
And I swear to you, my results have been way more lifting just 3 times a week. And I realized I wasn't getting enough rest.
Yep.
I was
That's key
not
too.
resting my muscles enough. And it was just like a little tweak. Like I'm like, and you should do something active every day.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I'm like, and this is just me personally. I'm not a trainer. Don't know and listen to what I'm
Neither
saying.
am I.
But
Yeah,
I'm just sharing this with you because we've talked a lot of fitness stuff. I'm just
for
like,
sure.
man, and just really concentrating on those simple exercises, just like good pull-ups, just
Yeah.
good pull-ups, good bench press, getting some good squats. And it's amazing mixing that with just sleep and good diet, what that does. It's
100%.
maybe some good protein powders and some creatine mixed in there like I do, but it's like,
Right.
it really can be that simple.
Yeah. And I fell in the same boat, when I was first started training too, like the overtraining aspect. Everyone thinks that it's the workouts that's going to give you the results. Yeah, that's part of it. But there's also the 75% of everything. If you put it on a scale, right? I'm sure you're aware of this. 25% workout, the actual physical movement of weights. 75% is your diet, rest, sleep, recovery, in order to go back to the gym to do the 25%. So
Mhm.
you have to kind of weigh in those as well, which it took me a while to learn that, honestly. I remember I remember in high school, I don't know who I was talking to, but I was like, man, I lift so much, but I don't see my abs. What's going on? Right. and and then I did, when I was doing the fitness competitions, I went to a nutritionist, and she really like changed my whole game, because she taught me a lot about diet and what kind of stuff to put in your body to get certain results. And even just going through the process of competing was a huge revelation in terms of like what people do to get to your peak shape at that 1 minute on stage. The crazy prep that you go to, cutting out water, cutting out salt, cutting out carbs. It's wild. I mean, that's not sustainable, obviously, but what you can do is scale it back and make it more of a lifestyle change, incorporate it into your lifestyle. So it's not as crazy of a shift. It's more manageable and you can kind of sustain it for longer periods of time versus going to this crazy length. And then people just tend to drop off after that. You eat like 2 burgers after that, and like people just go binge eating after that. Which I did at one point too, and it was not good.
Yeah, and you bring me to I've definitely developed a better relationship with food. Like I've been it before where I'm like strict nothing. I know nothing that sabotages the diet is coming in, but now I'm getting to a point where for example, my girlfriend and I were at California Adventure Park. Nice. I ate the ice cream sundae. I had it. It was great. And it's like,
the
but
memories,
I realized,
right?
but I realized, well, calories in, calories out is a lot to do it. But then also I was going to share with you, I just upped my protein intake. I really just realized like every time I eat, I'm slamming protein, like whether it's in a shake, meat, or whatever the form is that it's coming in, that I've noticed results too. And I feel like it's given me more flexibility to have some of those in between things. Like, I can have that. Right. Yeah. It really doesn't do too much. Not saying internally it didn't do anything, but in terms of like the physique and everything, it really hasn't hurt as much. And I'm like, okay, it's more like, I think it's a mental thing too. Cause like, again, you said like people go on these extreme diet things, but then they just hit a breaking point. Then they just lose it all and they just binge and go crazy and throw it all out the window.
Yeah. And what I tell people is it's easier or it's harder to go from point A to point B. It's easier to stay at point B. Meaning, if you start at say this is your starting point, your starting physique, and this is your goal physique, it's hard from going to here. You might have to be very strict or very diet oriented and keep your consistency perfect. And then once you're here, you have room to, wiggle. You can have some cheat meals here and there. But as long as you still maintain, it's not, as long as you're consistently still working out and consistently most of the time eating well, you can afford a few cheat meals here and there, and your physique won't take that much of a damage. So
especially if you're not trying to be like a fitness
bodybuilder.
Yeah. Man, that had to have been insane, man.
It was crazy, man. It was some of the biggest people I've ever seen in my life were standing right next to me, and it was just wild, and it was cool. It was an experience for sure, and I learned a lot from it, if anything. And it really taught me how to tweak certain things to like get to what I want to look like, if it's for whatever it is, for, just a photo shoot or a show or a shirtless scene, whatever it may be, or just in general. I don't want to have to lose it all and then have to gain it all back, because that's hard. But I just want to maintain it. As long as I'm good at maintaining it and you turn it into a lifestyle, it's easy.
So the beauty for you, when you do land that movie role that's going to need you to adjust something, you're not going to need to hire a trainer. You know how to train yourself.
Yeah, that's true. That's a very good point. Yeah. No, I'm looking forward to that. I'm crazy. Like I've been reading these, how like Wolverine.
Hugh Jackman.
Hugh Jackman. He was talking about the water thing too, and
the cold water. Didn't he do cold water?
Oh yeah, I did. He did that too, but I was talking about how he was cutting out water like by gallons till the day of. There was no water intake, because you're reducing water. What it does, it helps your skin stick to your muscles. So you're like very dried out, and you can really see the definition. But I remember backstage when we were doing the competitions, we were so shredded out, like as in so lean, we would be chugging like honey behind the stage, because what that does, it gives you that sugar pump, so you get that vascularity back, so you get that pump back. Some people were using like hair dryers, like those hair dryers, and just like heating themselves up, because it also brings the veins to come out and makes you look a little bit more vascular. It's crazy, the shit I see. I'm like, wow, people do this
I've seen, like.
But I mean, I feel like no one would see this shit unless you are at a competition or you're backstage somewhere. Things people do to just look perfect or whatever on stage.
I remember talking about carbs with you too. And by the way, I love carbs. Like I think I watched something with The Rock. Like The Rock said, he's like, look, carbs are your friend when you use them correctly.
Yeah, 100%.
Especially because I've done, and like I'm not speaking for myself. Some people may do pure carnivore and flourish on it, but my weight workouts just aren't as great without carbs. They're just not.
I agree.
I just don't have the extra energy in it. But it makes, and you told me this, you're like, look, make sure you have your carbs earlier in the day. and
Mhm.
maybe stick to just lean protein at night or
Yeah.
something like that. You know?
Yeah. It just depends on. I try to revolve my carb intake around when I work out. So like if I'm working out in the mornings, I usually would just wake up, take a pre-workout and like a protein bar, and go work out. And then the rest of the day, I can eat because I'm already in a caloric deficit, right? So I can eat enough carbs and protein, and I'll be okay. And because it's also a matter of what you do throughout the day. If you're like on your feet throughout the day, then you need more carb intakes, and depends on if you're trying to get bigger or if you're trying to shred out. That will define how much carb intake you have and how many or when you eat your carbs too. Um, but what I say to tell people is, in general sense, if you're trying to lose weight, reduce your carbs and sweet intake. If you're trying to gain a little bit of weight, control your carbs, reduce your sugars. That's just for health reasons. Um, and carbs, like you said, are your friend. If you're trying to gain weight, gain muscle too, you need carbs. It's not just protein, which is you need protein, but you also need carbs to increase your weight. So it's you have to have a good combination of both for sure.
And then sleep. I mean,
Sleep,
sleep's obviously
yes,
that's something too. Like I really, and there's nights where you don't hit the mark, but more times than not, though, I'm pretty diligent on bedtime.
good,
Like, shut it all down. You can deal with whatever tomorrow, but we've hit that moment where we got to go to bed because I
yeah.
think sleep. I never realized how much sleep aided in the recovery process and just overall health in general. So, are you pretty focused on your sleep right now too?
Honestly, like I have a hard time sleeping, man. Like, I don't know about you. Do you fall asleep quickly? Like, are you one of those lucky ones?
Yes and no. I'm
Yeah.
learning, especially because I've really timed my workouts now. I've been lifting later in the days lately.
Hmm.
I feel not that I won't do a morning workout, but later in the day, I feel like I have some food in me and I'm got a
Totally.
little more going. And when I do that, a hard weight workout, I fall asleep that night, no problem.
That's
Um,
awesome. That's
the
awesome.
nights when I find out I don't fall asleep easy, it's a lot of like, what are you doing right before you go to bed? Have you been staring at screens all night? Have you been,
Yeah. Hmm.
that type of thing? I also like listening. If I'm listening to a lot of music right before bed, that will keep me up.
True. True.
So I'm trying to get better at, and I need to really practice this more, like wind down time, like that
Yeah.
couple hours
Same.
before you go to bed. Because if you're going go go go, then just trying to go to bed, like you're not giving your body a chance to go through the
The
slowdown. So
wind down.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
a mix. Most nights I fall asleep pretty well. But
Nice.
yeah, the nights where I notice where I don't, it's I was occupied with something, and you're gonna have nights like that. I mean, as
Totally.
you're probably studying a script the night before.
Totally. Then the
Or
issue that I have is my mind races all the time. So like for me to fall asleep, it takes me like minimum half an hour to an hour, which sucks. So I can never take naps. Like I'm
uh,
so jealous of people who can just fall asleep like
yeah.
that because I wish I had that, man. Like, ah, but um, no. So it's sleep is probably the one place where I feel like I definitely need improvement on. It takes me a while to fall asleep, and especially if I have like a lot of things on my mind, anxiety,
Hmm.
whatnot. It's even harder,
Hmm.
and it's just not like the whole next day you're trying to play catch up, and then same thing happens the next night. You're trying to play catch up again, so it's like a vicious cycle that continues. And it's what I've been trying to, at least I need to get better at, is meditation and trying to wind down and just really try to focus, which is tough. I don't know about you. I don't know if you ever tried it, but for me,
Oh
it's been
yes.
tough just because of my mind racing issue. To try to just close my eyes and just focus on, or just, I mean, there's different ways people recommend, but I'm curious to see what you've been into for that.
Yeah, no, a definite meditation. Oh man, I can't. Shout out to Eileen Ramirez. My girlfriend and I went to her and her boyfriend Mike's breath workshop that they do,
Nice.
and
Okay.
it was like all breathing, and it really blew me away, like just how doing certain breathing techniques can
Yeah.
hone in and release stress and anxiety. But previous to that, yeah, I've been really into meditation, especially during my injury. Eric Jorgensen,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Eric, who helped me through my injury, we meditated every single day.
That's
And
amazing.
it really, in a lot of people think meditation, like you have to like make something happen or chant. You can do all those things, but honestly, just sit there and do nothing. Just sit there. You can close or not close your eyes and just stay still. And yes, a bunch of stuff's going to rapidly come up.
Right.
But how do I compare this? It's almost like your mind's filtering out all the junk, and a bunch of junk's going to come up. But a lot of people stop when they get to there. Like, oh, it's just too much. It's like, no. Just stay there with the junk. Like, stay there. And it gets crazy. It gets chaotic. But eventually, if you sit with it long enough, eventually it calms down. And then that's when you get to the sweet spot. That's when you get to the calm, the stillness, and the breathing and your breath. And you really just realize how many things your mind distracts you with during the day that aren't even really things at all. But our mind makes them think that they are.
Right.
And it just gets you really present. And, even what they taught us at Playhouse, man, like Sandy Meisner was a genius about being present. And like just getting to that state where I'm not thinking about the past. I'm not thinking about the future. I'm just here right now in the moment of whatever I'm doing. So I think one of the best thing I've told some people is just start with 5 minutes, just 5 minutes, just make it habit, just every day for 5 minutes. And I really love right when I get up in the morning. That's the best time for me.
That's a good time to do it. Yeah.
To do it. And then also before bed can be good too, because that can also kind of zone you out and get you ready for sleep as well. So that would be my thing to start with. And there's so many on YouTube and apps with guided meditations and things like that. But I'm really just a big fan of just sit there, eyes closed for 5 minutes and just slow breaths in and out, and whatever comes up in your head comes up in your head. And when you do that every day and you build up that tolerance, is all right, now we're going to go 7 minutes. Now we're going to go 10. And where I've really seen the value is when I get that up to like 20, 25, that's when I slip. Like there was a moment where I fell off the train of meditation for a few weeks, and I realized I wasn't as grounded.
It's almost like a muscle. It sounds like you got to kind of constantly work it.
Exactly. It's a mental muscle, really. And just, this with, you have a lot of great habits. It's just, you got to make it routine. You got to make it happen. And what I found the value when I do get in stressful situations, or like I do feel a lot of anxiety, I can't tell you how many times where I'll just stop if I'm in the car, like be in a parking lot or something, even if it's like for 3 minutes or a minute, like, okay, we're going to just stop the world for about 3 minutes here. And we're going to meditate for 3 minutes. And then like you get out of it, you're like, all right, I'm good.
I got this, right?
Because even if you're on set or something, and I think someone was telling me Jerry Seinfeld did transcendental meditation at lunch.
Really?
I'd never heard this, and I may be butchering this, but like he did it at lunch on the set of Seinfeld. Like everyone else would be like doing lunch and talking, like he'd go off and meditate because he had to be, he was the star of the show.
Right.
So he had to be on it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's amazing. And I like how you made it sound very simple. It's just sit for 5 minutes and do nothing, which is easier said than done for sure. Cause I've tried to do that where I'm like, all right, I'm just going to close my eyes and sit here and just not try to think about anything. Just let it flow through. And it's hard, man. I'm just like, I pick at one thing. I'm just like, I just go down this rabbit hole and then I go this way. And I'm like, it's like, damn.
I think you may have just picked the book of the episode here. Ram Dass Journey of Awakening, Meditator's Guidebook.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And Ram Dass wrote Be Here Now, which is his most popular one. But he gives like a really good step-by-step guide for people that have never gone this route. Like just really like making sure you have a nice place in your home to meditate, what you should do, what you should think about. He definitely talks about nutrition and things you put in your body. Yeah. Which, that's cool. For you do all those things. So, this could be like the final. Yeah. See, what's going to happen is you're going to start meditating. All of a sudden, I'm going to look at your Instagram. It's going to say, Vinn just booked this like Paramount movie or whatever.
It is. Meditation, and I've heard a lot of great things about it. So many benefits it has, and hand in hand with manifestation and how just the more clear you are, the more more you are able to control your own thoughts, it can help you in so many ways, especially like you were mentioning in stressful situations. And if you can just think clearly, I guarantee you'll find a solution. Versus if you're freaking out, you're less likely to find a solution, or at least like a viable solution out of that. So that's definitely something I need to work on, and I want to work on, because I mean, just like your physical, you have to also have your mental has to be equally as strong. So that's I love that. I've been that's one thing I've been focusing on over or trying to focus on over COVID. That's what I picked up, like trying to work on meditation and breathing and just being okay with not doing anything. I have an issue. I always want to be doing things.
Yeah.
I just have to be okay with not doing anything for a little bit.
I'll send you some links to some podcasts. I've talked about this man on every podcast almost. His name's Naval Ravikant. He was on Joe Rogan. He doesn't do many podcasts, but he's like an angel investor, but they call him the angel philosopher, because this guy has just figured life out to some degree, and he talks about meditation. He's like the chanting, the this. He's like, no, just do nothing. Just do nothing. Because you can even just go on a walk. I've started incorporating this. Like I've started to just do morning walks around the block. And
that's amazing. Yeah.
And just before starting anything on the day, before you like take on the day and whatever's coming, just take that time, go outside, just remind yourself like, hey, whatever happens today, the sun's going to rise, the sun's going to go down. Like it's like everything's cool. And you're exactly right. Like, with manifestation and not just physical diet, but spiritual diet, mental diet, and the double-edged sword of social media. You got to watch how much you consume of it.
100%.
And not only just how much you're consuming of it, but what are you consuming of it?
Yeah.
If you're looking at inspiration and supporting your friends, I think that's a different. You shouldn't do it all day, but like it's a different game. But if you're just looking at just crap all day and toxic things and
you're just kind of telling yourself
anger,
that you're
fear, as I tell you, man, I tell you what, I've just stopped watching news. I just made a decision. I'm like, I'm just done. If a meteor's going to hit Los Angeles, I want to know about it. But other than that, man, I just quit tuning in. I realized like, man, I'm a lot less stressful. Like I have a lot less, but I'm noticing with people, you just see like how on edge people are.
Yeah.
And it's like, they don't realize they're doing this all day. It's not good for your mind. Like it's not good at all. It's going to affect everything else in your body.
100%. And like I mentioned before, like social media can be so deceiving to the consumer, just because you see people, doing all these great things, and you're like, wow, like he's doing this, and you just get in your head like, why am I not there? Why am I not doing this? Why am I not doing? You should bring yourself down, and it's a vicious cycle that's something you're creating in yourself. So it's like you definitely have to watch how much you consume social media, because it's not something that's healthy to do so much of, unless you use it in like a strategic way, like you're promoting your work, or you're, like you said, looking after your friends and, supporting your fellow classmates and friends and different projects, which I feel like is the best way of doing it. And also, like, I get it. We're all human. We're going to scroll through shit all the time, but it's always good to be mindful of that aspect where it's not everything on social media is real. It's like there's a slight there's a silver lining to it. You gotta know what you're looking at, and not take everything with a grain of salt, basically.
Well, it's like fire, right? Like fire can cook our food and help us survive, keep us warm, and we can eat it. But fire can also burn you alive and burn your house down. So
exactly. That's a great metaphor. Love that. Yeah, that's exactly what I look at it.
Yeah. So, well, man, this has been a treat, man. Catching up.
Yeah, likewise, man.
We could keep going, and we're gonna have to catch each other in person sooner than
definitely.
Before we get into where to find you and all that, what's in the future for you here? Like, what do you got going on in the future? What's next for Vinn?
What's next for Vinn? I've been working, as I mentioned, like in the beginning, I've been working on creating my own content, my own short films. So that's been the main goal right now. So I'm producing more, I'm writing more, in that regard. So yeah, it's look out on my YouTube. That's where I'm going to be releasing all of it. So that's my main focus right now, just producing and creating and just get my creative juices going.
Okay, awesome. And then leading me to the next question, where can the people find you?
Find me on YouTube at Vinn Sander. That's Vinn with two N's. And you can find me on social media on Instagram, Vinn Sander, TikTok, Vinn Sander, Facebook, Vinn Sander, everywhere.
Got that branding down. And
Yeah.
I always give the guests the last word, and it can be as deep or as shallow as you want. It can be an idea, a philosophy, motivation. It could be a movie you saw. It can be if you want to just say peace out. Like it can be
Right.
anything you want. So what do you want to leave us with?
Um, I think what I want to leave you with is whatever it is anyone chooses to do, whatever it is, your goal, your passion, I feel like giving it a full, real, true chance, giving it 110%, just to see, at least the way I see life is, I don't want to be at my deathbed later on and think, oh, what if I'd given acting a chance? What if I'd done this? What if I don't want to think about it like that? I want to make sure I give everything I got now. You know, whatever it is, your career, just give it all you got. If it's your passion, go for it. Do it. Don't give up. I know it sounds cliche, but really, you kind of have to give it everything you got to see where it can lead, because it may open doors that you never know were even there. So I would say, whatever it is that you choose to do, give it everything you got. And later on in life, even if you fail, you're never going to regret it. You're like, at least I would be like, I gave it everything I got. I know I did. There's nothing more I could have done. And I'd be content with that. So there it is. That's my wise words of wisdom.
And I'm pumped up, man, after this podcast. I'm ready to rock and roll. Man, Vinn, thank you so much for doing this, man.
Of course. Thanks for having me, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Stick around for just a second after I end it. But dude, again, congrats on everything you've
Thank you.
accomplished and you're doing. I know you've put in a ton of work into all this, and I see you out there. And yeah, I look forward to just seeing you progress, man, and keep.
Appreciate you.
coming.
Likewise, man. I'm so happy you're doing this podcast. I know you started it a while ago, and I'm so happy you're consistently doing it. It's awesome. I've seen my fellow classmates on here as well, and it's cool. It's cool to see you really doing it, man. I'm excited. I'm pumped for you. And I'm honored to be a part of this. So thank you.
Oh, heck yeah. Well, we'll do more stuff. We're going to do it. Isn't it crazy? Like how it is crazy at the community we were at Playhouse West. Like now just to like be connected to that and to see everyone doing everything and still be, it's such an amazing experience. I remember, dude, when we were in beginning, doing doors and activities at rehearsals.
Right. It's crazy to see how far we've come. It's cool, actually, and like where people are now, and like some people are across states, and some people, doing different things, and it's cool. Like it's cool to see where people are now.
Yeah, man. Well, keep it up, my friend, and we'll talk here again soon.
Sounds good. See you guys.
All right, Vinn. Peace.